What's up, Big Steve?
Shout out Michael Bisbin. Shout out the listeners. Welcome. UFC Vegas 108 betting leans that will hit, but I won't bet. Right? The PFL podcast. Some people had a little dig at me for being too not confident in anything. But watch that card today and tell me there was a confident bet on there. You know, maybe couple live, but I wish I exercised that and didn't have any bets. I forced 2 bets, but yes, so I'm just leaning into that. A little bit funny, right? I do have a lot of leans, but not many bets. I do have 1 bet and didn't really get much time for tape, so better than nothing, right? I'll break down this card and then I've got a bit more time to tape tomorrow, so we'll get into it. We'll still make some money regardless because that's what we do. Kirk Kwiatkowski, shout out my dingo from the US. Have you ever thrown hands with a kangaroo? No, I have not. I would not advise anyone does that. Very easy way to die. Litz, shout out Big Steve and Thad Jean. I don't know about Thad Jean. I can't give that shout out, but good on him for winning. Discuss that Driscoll decision. Mind blowing. It was a robbery. It was a robbery. I dodged a few bullets there. I was going to play Hassan when he went up to pick him, and then I was about to play Hassan live at plus 170 after round 2. I thought it was 1-1, potentially 2 rounds to nil for Hassan. And then as I was on the phone, it dropped down to pick him, and I said, I personally thought round 1 it could go to Driscoll and he wouldn't be shocked. So at pick him and 1-1 into the third, I didn't want to do it just because you don't want to rely on judges knowing what you know. Like, we know the result, but judges don't. That's why they make mistakes all the time. So I was like, whatever, I'll leave it. It's PFL after all. And I kind of regretted it because in round 3, it looked like Hussein had the clearest round in round 3. He was landing all the damage. So I was like, worst case, 29-28 Hussein. Maybe a split decision where he wins at 29-28. When I heard 30-27, almost feels like a mistake. I don't know how you can give Driscoll 30-27, but hey, I was on the side of that before on Carlos Leal. I could argue that Carlos Leal was much worse against Rinat Fakhretdinov because Driscoll was getting takedowns. A lot of takedowns. That kid had no takedown defense at all. Maybe you should fix that. All right, let's move on. I don't really want to talk about PFL at all. It's such a disgusting card. The doctor stoppages, just bullshit. Just retarded stuff. Bashi's the lock of the card. Free square on the parlay machine. Don't disagree necessarily, but it's a square that's not paying much. Let's be honest. Alrighty, let's get into it. So the first fight is Piera Rodriguez, Ketlin Soza. I understand the money coming on Piera. Look, she's got the wrestling upside. She even has some power. She's hurting these girls. She hurt Canalosi. I don't think she hurt that last chick, Knudsen, but she definitely put some hands on her. And if she has the cardio to go for that many takedowns against Knudsen in this one, she should be able to cover. But, worse than minus 200. Female fight, first fight of the card. There's weird stuff going on. There's variance going on. I'm not going to force it. I feel really, really dirty forcing 2 fights in PFL against my better judgment. And I'm not going to do it. But, even Piera decision, I don't think I can do it. Just because Ketlin Soza, she's got wins over McMahon and, she looked a little bit better against Angela Hill. Didn't get finished, but I just do feel like she can probably get finished if someone goes hard against her. So, if Piera Rodriguez is rinsing like she did in that first fight, in her last fight, then maybe she could finish it. But I don't know. I could see both aspects here. I could see dog or pass. I could see the favorite. I just can't lock in the favorite. It's making me sick thinking about it. Alrighty. Felipe Bunes, Rafael Estam. The thing that I liked here was the under, right? Estam has some good ground and pound. We've seen it on the regionals. Not so much these days because, he's getting Jesus Aguilar and Charles Johnson, guys that are... Charles Johnson, someone that's almost impossible to finish, both via KO and sub. And he has good get-ups. So, no real chance to throw ground and pound. The same as Jesus Aguilar. Just a really, really hardware-based Mexican wrestler, you can submit. He's been put in deep subs. He's been submitted by Tara. He was being submitted on the regionals. But Estam couldn't really hold on to position for long. So Felipe Bunes, he gasses out bad. He's been grinded out many times in ACA. And we got submitted by Jose Formiga, who missed weight by a lot. So maybe we can give him a bit of a pass there. And, Formiga really high level. And, he got finished by Joshua Van in round 2. Now, when you look back at that, bad look, because Joshua Van, struggles to finish anyone, despite having a million moments. He finally got a finish in round 3 against Bruno Bulldog, and it just took him to the last minute. So Bunes was on death's door a lot sooner than any of other Josh Van's opponents. So I don't know, but after tape, I was just like, I guess because I taped Charles Johnson and the Aguilar fight, and Rafael Esteban wasn't really close, that put me off. And, I came with the realization that he does have really good submission defense. He was in a couple of really deep Aguilar guillotines, and he's like, no panic. He just knows how to defend. Will Felipe Bunes submit him off his back? I mean, anything's possible. He had some really tight submission attempts against some of these Russians in ACA, and he actually did submit a couple of them. He submitted Yoni Sherbatov, and he's got power on his feet as well, but it's just, I don't want to rely on it. I played the under in the Aguilar fight, and it didn't sniff it, so it's barely plus money. I don't know. Old mate missed weight as well, so don't really like anything. Austin Bashi, John Yiannis. I do agree this is probably a squash. I mean, John Yiannis has been submitted a bunch via rear naked choke specifically, and he's on short notice. And honestly, I think Austin Bashi is very good, despite getting fraud checked by C-Rod. Yeah, I mean, this is his path. What is he paying now? Probably something disgusting. I'm not even going to look at it. I remember it being disgusting. But the under 1.5 rounds is a bit, I'm considering it. Just because Yiannis, he's been submitted over once by Gabriel Vanderlei, who's a really good kid as well. He has a good grappling background. That went over 1.5 rounds, but he's getting backpacked early, right? Nick Aguirre took his back early in round 1. Gabriel Vanderlei took his back in round 1, but he survived. And Austin Bashi took C-Rod's back. It takes a lot of people's backs, so it's like he's going to get there. He will get there early and plenty. Will he get it or will he not get it? And it's plus 150. Last time I checked, the under was plus 150. It just depends. Do you want to play around with it? Do you want to go maybe Bashi round 1, 2, Bashi sub round 2, round 1? That way you just, you don't give Yiannis any potential. He has some KOs, so maybe he's got an upside. Let me just have a look. I'm just going to go on my Australian bookie here quickly. And live on air, have a look at where the hell is MMA? Why do I not have it? Oh, okay. It's on the UFC. I'm going to look at what Bashi round 1, round 2 is. So $1.14 for his odds. Not too bad, actually. Maybe it is a free square. Submission is Pick'em. Bashi round 1 sub 350. Bashi round 2 sub 540. We'll go the distance minus 200. Wow. Decision no bet. Bashi sub $1.22. There's some good options there. Some good options. Austin Bashi sub round 1 and 2 plus 120. So the under 1.5 rounds is 30 cents better than Bashi round 1 and 2 sub, which is also specific. So there's a little bit of a KO risk, and also it's a little bit worse. But yeah, it's a squash match, in my opinion. Let's look at the comments. Breaking Bad Boxing, first time joining the chat. What's good, Steve? Breaking Bad Boxing, mate. I just watched your show. I don't know if you listen to the show, but welcome. I'm into boxing now, so I found your show and I subscribed. So welcome. 4 or 5 losses for Kettler inside the distance. Tempted by Pierre inside the distance. Yeah, that's the thing. Picking for the sub is pretty good. Could be any round. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of liking that sub. Maybe I should lock that in ASAP before it gets away. Nick Klein versus Andre Pulev. I hate this fight. I taped it extensively just because I had this feeling I should pivot on Nick Klein now that a lot of people have played Puliev. Just think early if Nick Klein can make something happen. Puliev is a noodle. He can be taken down. Despite his takedown defense looking good on Contender Series, he can be taken down. He can be put in dominant positions. He's been knocked out before in round one. He's been submitted on amateurs, only 5 years ago. He's very new to the game. And he's fighting a lot of these bums on the Russian regional scene. Like, the best guy he's fought was hands down Christian Leroy Duncan. He looked massive levels. Christian's fighting next week, and honestly, his line is insane against your boy Anders. That's all I'm going to say. And probably the best guy he beat is Liam Anderson. And Liam Anderson is awful as well. So, but yeah, just taping it. It's like Nick Klein outside of round one. Sometimes he has good wrestling and good cardio. Sometimes he doesn't. He just falls apart. Striking is just herky-jerky. Like, he hurt Abdul Malik with a spinning elbow. He just throws random shit out there, and sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. Puliev is going to be the cleaner striker, but it's just it's a bum fight. It's honestly a bum fight. If these guys both got cut, if they were never in the UFC and they were put on the new season of Dana White Contender Series, it would make sense. I'll put them as a co-main. That's where they belong. But maybe the under 1.5. I consider the under 1.5 just because it kind of correlates with Nick Klein getting an early finish. Puliev can get finishes late. Does he have any early ones? A couple of punches, ground and pound, triangle choke. It's all bums. Who doesn't really finish early? What's Liam Anderson been up to? Let me have a look. Oh, what a bum. Yeah, I don't even mind that doesn't go in this fight. But it's just, I don't have any strong confidence, right? Watch all the guys come and write stupid comments on my comments again, on my video comments. Doesn't go distance minus 200. It's a bit shit. Let's move on. 6 Hound. I can't wait to see how Klein memes this one. I don't know if I want him to meme it if I don't have a bet, because a lot of my friends are on Puliev, but I'm not interested, and I don't have any regrets passing. If anything, Puliev live bet. Breaking Bad Boxing, much appreciated. I hope bring you some good insight. I'm here for some MMA tips, so excited to learn. All right, well, it sounds like you're discovering me for the first time, and I've discovered you for the first time a week ago. So good stuff, man. I'm looking to bet some boxing tomorrow. The tape will be done after the show. Klein sub plus 400. Wow, that's generous. That's very generous. I could see that happening. 6 Hound. Trusting Puliev to get a finish versus trusting Klein to not get finished is so hard for the totals. Look, I will say, I was a bit high on Puliev after Contender Series, but watching that CDFC fight, it was just a mental thing. He did not want to be in there. He was running away. He was scared of Christian Leroy Duncan. That was the biggest red flag that I could ever see. All right, Rodolfo Vieira, Tresean Gore. A lot of people are on Gore. It makes sense. Rodolfo Vieira at minus 200. A lot of the times, you can just pinch your nose and lock it in without overthinking it. The guy is old submission head. Bit like his mate Buchecha. They kind of get nervous in there. They gas out. He's improved that a lot. Lost as a decent sized underdog to Andre Petroski. Petroski, though, has a much better wrestling and grappling background than someone like Tresean Gore. Tresean Gore missed weight as well. What to make of that, I'm not too sure. Some people were saying he was fat. Honestly, he looked pretty shredded to me at the weigh-ins. I'm sure he could be in better shape, but that didn't look like a guy that was out of shape to me anyway. Rodolfo Vieira, this is just a shit show fight. Like, if I'm going to fade Rodolfo, I would like someone that has the attributes that you need, like takedown defense and potentially cardio and striking to the max, right? So that's Chris Curtis and Andre Petroski. Takedown defense maxed out. Tresean Gore, I would say his takedown defense is okay. Like, he's got good offense. He was mauling Josh Friend and slammed Tricoli quite easily when he went for a takedown. But is it amazing? No, I've seen him taken down by Cody Brundage. Cody was working his way to the back. I don't like to see that. I want to see elite takedown defense. I also would like to see a better chin from Tresean Gore. I know his chin showed up to look insanely good against Marco Tulio when I had the under 1.5 rounds there, which is, that's probably thanks to myself. But other than that, his chin's not the greatest. You know, we've seen him dropped and hurt before. So I would like better attributes. But again, it's still dog or pass. It just makes me sick. This fight makes me sick. So whatever. Maybe a live bet. Rinya Nakamura, Nathan Fletcher. I personally don't know how to play this one just yet. Although I think this is Rinya's fight to lose. I think that someone like Guffaro is levels above Nathan Fletcher, who's just one of these overrated Cage Warrior guys. He fought another overrated Cage Warrior guy in Keon Lauren, and he lost a split. That was a back and forth. You know, Lauren took him down many times. And yeah, I think Rinya can take him down that much easier. He got absolutely mauled by Can Offley on Ultimate Fighter. It looked like a levels fight in terms of physicality. I do think Rinya is extremely, extremely physical. Plus, he has the power. His chin is good. He proved it against Gafarov. So, yeah, I think it's his fight to lose. But what is Nakamura gonna do here? That's the question. What's he gonna do here? I mean, he hasn't really fought anyone good. You know, Kazama, Nose, Garcia, Vera, and he just looked a bit green against Moin Gafarov. He is hittable. He is a bit green. Let me see. What are the totals and stuff here? I do see people have locked stuff in. MMA guy, Rinya takedown line is 2.5. Seems free. Well, so we're expecting 3 takedowns from Rinya? That's a lot. That's a lot for me. I don't know. Didn't Fletcher only give up 2 in 15 minutes in the last fight? The idea of Rinya is much better than the actual fighter he is. Yeah, he's just green. He's green. Fade Rinya for flexing a win over an Indian in its apology photo. Is that an Indian? Oh, it is. Shit. Well, still, it's in the Olympics, so that's impressive. It's not like Indian in MMA, which means absolutely nothing. Indian in Olympics is like the best of the best. All right, we're on the main card. Danny Silva versus Kevin Vallejos. I see a lot of people parlaying Vallejos. I know a friend that, you know, played Vallejos in decision, which seems good. You know, seems good if you think Danny Silva is durable. I get it. You know, I don't know if Danny Silva's a good dog just because he has split decisions over, you know, Chini Lucas Almeida, split decision over Josh Pulibao, Andrew Pacheco. It wasn't a split, but he really let Pacheco back into that fight many, many times. I do think that Kevin Vallejos has the better hardware here, better power, better durability. Could just be a step ahead. I mean, Gene Silva, you could say that was a similar archetype to Danny Silva, but just on a lower level. But I don't want to bang on about it. Like, this is the one fight I did not tape anything. I didn't tape anything because, like, what am I going to do with it? I didn't feel interested. I see a lot of people are parlaying, doing the Argentinian parlay of Ribovics and Vallejos. Seems kind of square, but I'm not going to say it doesn't hit. It just feels like as I said many times, I feel like we're in a variance kind of time right now. And I feel like that shit probably loses right now. Don't know. But we'll talk about Ribovic soon enough. Alrighty. Second fight of the main card. Neil Magny, Alessio Zaleski, Dos Santos, Capoeira, one of my favorites. A lot of money is coming on Magny. It's still happening. I get it. Zaleski can be competitive, especially when he's fighting strikers, long strikers that can keep him on the outside, for example, like Chitty, for example, like Randy Brown. I mean, you go back to Muslim Salikov, a fight that he won, and they robbed him. Got knocked out by Jing Liang. That was 2020 Muslim Salikov, so he would have been only 45 years of age back then, and more in his prime. The thing is the type of striking Neil Magny is going to do, is that going to phase Zaleski at all, right? Randy Brown, completely different animal. Chitty, completely different animal in terms of power and explosiveness. Neil just does those stupid teeps, those 1-2s, the female. He strikes like a chick. He strikes like Caitlin Chukagian, Neil Magny. And then he gets in the clinch, and then, honestly, after like 2-3 fights, and noticing, you know, the leg kicks from Zaleski and the finishing upside, the power, the jiu-jitsu upside, I was like, I like Zaleski more, honestly. But the line where it's at, again, I'm disgusted by it. I'm disgusted in a lot of fights on this card. This card pretty much makes me sick. At least it's not at 2 a.m. in the morning like Abu Dhabi, so I can live with it. So I was like, oh, wait. And money still keeps on coming. So what I need to evaluate is how this fight will look against the cage. Because let's be honest, as soon as Magny gets hurt once, he's going to clinch up. It happens all the time. It happens in every fight. Zaleski spends a lot of time with his back against the cage. Rinat, Abubakar, Benoit Saint Denis. Like this shit happens over and over again. But so I guess you're kind of relying on big moments from him. He's beaten better guys than Magny. Abubakar's better. That shouldn't have been a split. I thought it was a clear 29-28. And he got dropped by Abubakar in round 1. He also got dropped by Rinat Fakhretdinov. And I still thought he had a better chance of a clear 29-28. I don't know how he lost round 2. So these guys kind of have some power, whereas Magny doesn't. So Magny just needs a zero damage volume-based decision. And I can't bet him. I can't bet him. Unless, let me have a look what's at decision. I mean, minus 200 for the over, which the people are just saying this is going to go over. What's Magny decision? I guarantee it's going to be like 30 cents difference. Wow, almost $1 difference from his money line. So maybe that's tempting. What's Zaleski decision? Wow, disgusting. Zaleski sub, $7. I will say his submissions are super, super overrated. He could have got Rinat out of there if he didn't go for a sub. Should have ground and pounded him. Cool. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. MMA guy. He gave up 6 takedowns to Lauren. Oh, right. Nice. I fast forwarded through that fight. Rinyo is the 2025 version of Josh Koscheck. Yeah, you could say that. I would say he's a much better wrestler than Josh Koscheck, but everyone in the over 2.5, it's going to be sweaty the way these two fight. Yeah, I'm not really interested in the over 2.5 just because Silva's incredibly hittable and Vallejo's hits hard. So it's just a classic recipe for the under to crash and burn. This will be a 150 significant strike fight. Betting go the distance like you'll hit, but you won't be a good watch. Nah. What does Magny win even look like? I just told you. It's gonna look like the Mavleed, but with them never ending up on the ground, just against the cage. Go the distance feels playable. Could be. Magny split. I mean, wouldn't that be disgusting? And wouldn't that make a lot of sense? Magny has only been subbed by elite guys. Do you think the Suns? Yeah, as I said, I don't like his submissions. They're overrated. He goes for him a lot, but he failed against Luigi. He got Curtis Millender, which I don't think is saying much. He tried him against Abubakar, got taken down. He tried against Rinat when he should have just finished him. He was kind of close against Randy Brown, but not really. Yeah, I think before the Mike Malott fight, I came to the conclusion that Magny's submission defense is decent. And he was in some deep spots against Malott and he got out. Gilbert Burns, Shavkat. Yeah, he's better than, despite getting ran through on the ground by a lot of these guys. I'm not willing to poke it. Not with someone like Zaleski. Karol Hosa, Norah Cornell. I'm going to be honest, I went back and forth on this fight. I thought Cornell might have some value because Karol Hosa at minus 200, never. And then I'm just watching Norah Cornell lose a clean round to Haley Cohen and just ending up on her back against, Mullins and, again, Jacqueline Cavalcanti. And just, she goes for takedowns and just pulls guard. And it's like, that's disgusting. Again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but that also made me feel sick. Maybe I'm pregnant. I don't know. I'm getting a lot of morning sickness. Maybe I'm pregnant. Who knows? Might have to do a pregnancy test. But that made me feel sick. And then I just came around and thought, do I actually like Karol Hosa a chalk? And that just made me flat out throw up. I projectile vomited for like 30 seconds. Thought about going to the ER. I didn't. That's fine. So I think that's all that needs to be said about that fight. It should be a levels fight. It should be a levels fight because Karol Hosa belongs in the ranking. Norah Cornell doesn't. But man, she might just end up there somehow. She might just slip her way into a bit like Bogdan Guskov. But if she beats, I don't know what a Norah Cornell striking I don't know what that win looks like, honestly. Alrighty, let's move on. Esteban Ribovics, Elvis Brenner. I got a sharp friend, my friend, bold fraud. Not Pep Guardiola, but another bold fraud. Dogfather. He is on Brenner amongst a couple of other dogs. And that one, I was like, oh, I get it, man. I get it. You know, I did a little bit of tape. I love Ribovics. I bet Ribovics is a big underdog against old man, what's his name? Loic Radzabanov, and people making fun of me. They're like, oh, how can you bet him? He's an Argentinian bum. He's got no good wins. And I'm like, man, just Ribovics is the GOAT. He almost knocked out Loic there, but that was a bit annoying. But he also got hurt. I bet him against Kirk, got taken down, got backpacked, whatever. Won in rounds 2 and 3. I bet him against Zellhuber. You know, people are telling me that hasn't aged that well because Zellhuber just lost to Michael Johnson. Look, Zellhuber is still going to be a problem. Michael Johnson is just so fast and so hard to get a read on. And Zellhuber just couldn't do it. He couldn't do it, and he got frightened by the speed. Whereas Esteban Ribovics was there to be hit. And he gave Zellhuber the easiest path. And Esteban Ribovics still beat him at that game. And he almost knocked him out. So, just the way the Ribovics fights. He fights not optimally at all. Well, optimally for his style, because he has insane hardware, insane durability, great power, great cardio. Someone tell me if people are still listening, if people that are not sick of my chatter about being sick about this card, let me know how many strikes were thrown in the Daniel Zellhuber fight. Right, and that guy was not tired. Ribovics was still not tired at the end of that fight against Daniel Zellhuber. So this guy's insane. The Nazarite Hakparos, I honestly considered fading him there, -265, just because Nazarite is a weasel and he counters and he runs away. And again, that's a bad stylistic matchup for Ribovics, who, as good as his boxing is, he was just walking into shots and wasn't landing anything clean until round 3. And a little bit unfortunate that he lost round 1 and 2 close in a split, but he beat the shit out of Nazarite in round 3. You know, he hurt him, he shut his eye, he hurt him with a knee, and then right at the bell, he landed a head kick similar to the Terrence McKinney and wobbled him. And Nazarite has an elite chin himself, right? He wobbled him. And just that fight made me do a 180. It's like, yeah, Elvis is probably going to look value. He's going to go for takedowns. He can crack Ribovics. He hits very hard, right? We've seen him just dead. Kainan Khrushchevsky. You know, we've seen him knock out Guram Kutataladze. I think he dropped Orlby as well. I didn't watch that fight because there's a lot of grappling and I just didn't think it was relevant. And it's like, you know, he's going to hit Ribovics. He can potentially take down Ribovics. So I can see him looking value, right? But then it's like, he's also very hittable himself, and Ribovics hits like a truck. It's like, how many times can Elvis get dropped, you know, by Guram, by Orlby, by Joel Alvarez before he finally gets knocked out? And it just made me not want to bet it as an underdog. Like, it's just going to be a scrappy, dirty, filthy fight where I feel 9 out of 10 times Ribovics comes out in those. You know, you just can't win a war with Ribovics. I mean, Zellhuber was close, but it's just tough, man. It's tough. So if Brenner was a little bit cleaner, a little bit more defensive savvy, I would be interested, but it's tough. 6 Hound, Ribovics is GOAT. He is. He's also a handsome man. An Argentinian with beautiful blue eyes. That's the man of my dreams. Ribovics round 3 probably has value. Always his best round, and he's got a ton of round 3. I mean, we'll just discuss that. Yeah. If it was someone else, he probably would have finished Nazarite in round 3. Total strikes, Ribovics 156, Zellhuber 121. Why doesn't it feel like they landed a lot more than that? That seems low. Didn't Max Holloway land like 400 and something on Qatar's face alone? That's crazy, man. 150, is that all? It felt like Ribovics landed 100 just in that round 3 against Zellhuber. Anyway, what's the under there? There's a couple things I like there. I like potentially the under. The under 2.5 rounds is pick'em. Now, if you wiki cap, a lot of decisions for Ribovics. A lot of decisions. All right, couldn't knock out Kamela Kirk. Could knock out Loic Radzabanov, although he was close. Joel Alvarez couldn't knock out Brenner. He went over 2.5 rounds. So if you, I mean, even Guram Kutataladze went over 2.5 rounds. So if you wiki capping this, It doesn't look good, but man, they are going to hurt each other. Maybe just play doesn't go. $1.70. Wow, it could be worse. Honestly, these guys are going to scrap. We'll see. That's going to be a barn burner. Aussie fight fan. Those are significant strikes. Fair enough. Mateus Rebecki versus Chris Duncan. Alrighty, so I have a bet here. I have a unit on Rebecki. Not a groundbreaking play. Look, minus 200. Honestly, to be frank, I regretted it straight away. I paused a little bit, and then I still locked it in, and I was like, should I have done that? You know, they're training together. There's a lot of noise about them training together up until like the last week or so. They were still in the same gym for this fight, and they know each other well, and they've trained. So, whatever. I don't know what to make of that. It seems like Rebecki wanted this fight. They both got paid a lot of money, apparently, that they don't even give a shit. But it's just, Rebecki, the reason I locked this fight in, and a lot of people love to hate Chris Duncan, and they faded him. They faded him with Oki at minus 200. And I looked in it, and I was like, look, I get it. But I don't think Chris Duncan's that bad. I know the tape makes him look bad, but he's just, in the grand scheme of things, as a UFC fighter, and Balaji Oki as a UFC fighter, I don't think he should be minus 200. And he beat him, and then he beat Jordan Vucenic as a big size underdog. I don't care about that one because Jordan Vucenic is another Cage Warriors bum, and they cut him, and good riddance, I say. Manuel Torres ran through him. So I basically just thought, look, this is a levels fight. Rebecki honestly is better than Chris Duncan. You can't not argue that. He's better than Vucenic. He's better than Balaji Oki. He's better than Ash Moose, Omar Morales, whatever. Maybe he's better than Manuel Torres. Manuel Torres versus Mateus Rebecki, that would be such a sick fight. But my issue with Rebecki is he's so hittable. He's so hittable, and Chris Duncan is big, he's tall. The weigh-ins was just, the size was insane. Obviously, I don't think Rebecki is a small lightweight. I think he's incredibly stocky. Just no neck, huge legs, huge chest. But he's just short. It's the way it is. And Chris Duncan's going to probably treat him like, like Schmooze. He's going to be throwing a lot of kicks, trying to stay on the outside, and Rebecki's going to try to close the distance and whatnot. So, but look, I locked it in. And I just put one unit. Kind of feels like Puchecha. If I was really confident, I would have put 2-3 units on it. But I'm not. I feel like I'm forcing it. Hopefully, I don't get burnt on this one. And I'm just going to leave it. That's my only bet. Only bet on this card. So one unit on Rebecki. I think Rebecki can potentially take him down, knock him out, hurt him. I think Chris Duncan is not that best when he's pushed, but he hasn't really been pushed. Hasn't really been pushed by Oki. Hasn't really been pushed by Jordan Vucenic. I don't think Rebecki is going to fall into a guillotine. So, yeah. 66% at minus 200. You can give him 70, 75. I don't know. I don't care if he wins a split as long as he wins and I get half a unit. Let's move on. 6 Hound. At least with Rebecki bet, you would probably win round 1 for live bet hedge. Yeah, I don't like to rely on that. I thought the same shit would happen with Buchecha, but he lost round 1, won round 2. So Rebecki was the one that asked for this fight, correct? And and old mate Chris Duncan was kind of upset by that. And you can see the energy of Rebecki. He doesn't really give a shit. He's just laughing. Probably knows something that the bookmakers know as well. Chris Duncan has that energy where he's like, you think you can show me up in front of the world because you beat me up in the gym. I'm going to prove you wrong. That kind of energy, Rashad Evans versus John Jones type of energy, but it's probably not going to go well for him. Alrighty. Tatsuro Taira, Hyungsong Park. Look, a lot of people are on Park. Obviously, a lot of people on Taira too because the line has moved in Taira's direction. I get it. I had a big bet, 2,500 on Taira versus Royval, and I just thought a noodly guy with bad takedown defense, that Taira can potentially hurt on the feet as well. And I didn't really give a shit about 5 rounds. So I'm not really rushing to play a big bet against Park. This could be an easier fight, but Park, there's a few issues here. Park, never been tested. Who's his best win? Choi. I watched that so many times. I'm pretty sure he was losing that. And then he got a round 3 takedown rear naked choke. He has elite back takes and rear naked chokes. something that's similar to Tyron. But he got shut down in that fight. He got dropped, and it was competitive. And then the next best guy that he fought is Carlos Hernandez, who's not in the UFC anymore. He's bottom of the barrel, and Tyra handled him accordingly as well, knocked him out on the feet. So he has a bit of ape about him, Park. Like, he comes forward, he seems physical, he seems strong, he's got power on the feet, and he's obviously got that the takedown offense and jiu-jitsu, but he kind of builds into fights as well. The issue is, he was meant to fight next week on short notice, and now we got moved back to this week on even shorter notice. But I will say he made weight. He made weight, so maybe he was in shape. But it's a tough one. I got on one side, people are playing Tyra in parlays, and then we've got other side people playing Park, but they're just kind of filling in the blanks. This feels like a fight that I'm just going to live bet. 5 rounds. It's probably going to be competitive. We might see Tyra show some adversity because he's been in adverse spots before. He's been taken down. He's been reversed. He's had his back taken. He was in deep subs versus Edgar Chairez. So we might see that here. We might get some ebbs and flows. We might learn a bit about Park. I mean, he was hurt by Royval as well. And Park seems to hit hard. So I understand. I understand why you would play Park. So who knows? I might come back on both, but it's just a fight that I didn't really want to tape. It just feels, don't know. That's where we're at. So Pierre Rodriguez, I mean, to me, I can make an argument for both. It just depends on how much improvements Caitlin Soza is making at strawweight. Felipe Bunes, Esteban, I mean, I like the under there, but after tape, didn't feel amazing. Austin Bashi, we got to get on some finish props for Bashi here. Nick Klein, Puglia, filthy, disgusting fight. Dog or pass now, I guess. Vieira Go, I guess that's dog or pass. Nakamura, he should have his way here. Vallejo, he should win. Zaleski, I'm liking Zaleski, but I guess he needs moments. I have to evaluate how the clinching will go. Carol Hosa, Norah, Cornell, disgusting fight. Ribovics, hoping for some violence here. We'll look into that. Rebecki, 1 unit. That's all I have. And Park, Tyron, nothing. So it is what it is. Sorry, I can't give you a million locks. Right, the pay-per-view 2 weeks ago, I had a million bets. This one, not so much. But hey, I'm trying to make profit. I'm trying to be disciplined. This is where my style shines. When everyone else is getting destroyed by variance, I'm just sticking to what I'm confident in. So I had a great August. Started well with 1 fight night, 1 Friday fights. It was a bet that wasn't on many books. I told people to hit me up if they wanted it. I couldn't really tip it, but so I'm not trying to give that up. I almost gave it up on PFL, but luckily I won on 1FC to kind of counter that out. So I forced shit on PFL and regret it. I'm not going to do it on UFC. But yeah, I do feel like even the Rebecki fight was a bit forced. So Mohammed, what's up, man? You're always catching these podcasts late. I'm doing all right. How are you doing? What's the locks, Mohammed? I'll wait 30 seconds. Give me some locks, and then I'll jump off. That's about it, lads. I'm really excited for the pay-per-view next week. Let me have a look. And I'm crazy excited about Octagon. Not Octagon. Well, Octagon too, but I'm excited about Contender Series. Oh, shit. The pay-per-view is on next week. It's the week after. Also, would you like me to partner up and do Contender Series? Let me know. Subliminal... My usual partner is busy for the first half of the season. Pay-per-view, Barbosa, close. King Green. This is a good card. I'm excited for this shit. Kyle Muhammad, you got 20 seconds. Give me some locks, man. Chase Super. Wow, Jeff Neal, Prates, sick fight. Cannonier, Michael Page, sick fight. Kaya Sakura, hopefully he kills Tim Elliott. That'll be nice. Wow, Pico Murphy, that's sick. Can't wait for that pay-per-view. That's good. Good stuff. Alrighty, Muhammad might have jumped out. That's all right. Thanks, Aussie 5 fan. Thank you for listening. MMA guy, DDP for everything. You know what? It's DDP or pass. Without tape, I'm leaning DDP, so we'll see. All right, peace out. Like and